If it's not Dominic Reyes, Brian Campbell, let's make a choice here. We talked about it last week. Is it Israel Adesanya? Is it Stipe Miocic? The question for you is, given how Jon performed, and again, you can make a very clear case that he won, given how he performed, which one makes more sense for the UFC right now?
There's a wild card factor in me answering the question.
There's a simple answer to this one, Brian.
There's not, though, because Jon, if you hear him talk over the last year, after this comeback from the most recent USADA failure, is about history. And the one record he doesn't, now he's closing in. He's 3 wins away from Cerrone's most wins. He just became the winningest fighter in title fights. He doesn't have the title defense record, though, because of the breakups in his title reign due to his things outside the cage. So I almost feel like he would want to linger at 205 and say to himself, well, I could beat Reyes in a rematch. I could beat Corey Anderson. I could beat whatever. I don't want him to linger. I don't think the UFC would want him to linger. That's why I think sitting down is a big part, because I think the path for Jones is to explore the idea of an Adesanya fight, which would mean Adesanya beating Romero coming up, and would mean they both want it. We want to go down this road. We can make it big. We can make it fun. If not, though, I think the move is to heavyweight, and I think the move is a non-title heavyweight bout that main events a pay-per-view that does big business because of the intrigue against a former champion with a name, and then you wait out the winner of DC Stipe 3. I think part of Jon going public to Ariel in the interview and talking so matter-of-fact about I can beat Stipe tomorrow and I want to, I think it's still a little bit more of this DC thing will never end. You know, what if I can win DC's title and hold it up in front of him type of deal. I think that's not as realistic now that Jon kind of struggled to come away with a decision here. I think that it would be fun to throw him in that pool. It would do so much for the heavyweight division and just rise up the value and create fun matchups. So I think the answer to your question is both, but you go
you gotta pick one.
You go through the idea of the Adesanya fight first, because as we said last week, when Jon moves up, that window closes unless Israel can prove he can keep rising in weight and you know, be the same guy in each weight class.
So here's what I would say. There is one more piece of the puzzle we have to figure out here, which is Romero versus Adesanya, and that presser on Friday was unbelievable. The promo that they played on Saturday gave me the chills. I am
insanely excited about this fight. I'm more excited for this fight right now. Watch lightning strike me down right now. I am more excited about Adesanya Romero than even Khabib Tony. And it doesn't even make sense to say that. But as I'm sitting there watching as I'm sitting there watching them at the press conference on Friday, I'm going,
it's the perfect fight.
The violence in this fight and the skill level and the fact that both are going to come forward at frickin' will to prove something, right? Yeah. Romero finally cashing in and saying, I'm not that lovable bridesmaid loser, weight cutter, you know, USADA guy. I'm the freak of nature that is going to win a title in my early 40s. And Adesanya saying, I got to beat up the toughest guy in this jail to prove to you who I am.
Boy. Here's the thing. Adesanya, in terms of the challenge he faces in Romero, it's a big physical challenge, big power puncher, athletic, explosive, all that kind of stuff we all know about Romero. But the thing is, his control once he gets the takedown has never been good. That's why Robert Whittaker was able to get up. He's not a folk-style Khabib wrist ride guy. But in terms of getting a hold of you and putting you down, he can do it very easily. To me, I want to see how Adesanya answers the physical challenge, both in the striking and the wrestling department there. If he handles it ably, and the fact that he is taking it on when he doesn't have to, is just...
Champions Gastelum, this could be...
By the way, yes or no, because I want to finish my point. Champions seeking out fighters that are boogeymen of the divisions when they don't have to, it does not happen in combat sports.
And when it does, come on, give me what I need right now.
So here's what I will say. Maybe you give Reyes the immediate rematch, but one way or the other, if Adesanya beats Romero and looks like he is capable of answering some of the physical challenges therein, that's the guy to beat Jon Jones. Because on the feet, Adesanya is going to style on basically anybody in the UFC. Obviously, as we know, Jon has such a reach. He's got an amazing fight IQ, and while his wrestling has deteriorated, that's been something of a lagging part in Adesanya's game. But if he can shore that up, I'm telling you, that's the way to go.
Why is Adesanya at the press conference when asked about it saying summer of 2021, Raiders Stadium, Las Vegas, we'll do it then? Why do you think he's pushing that off when, again, the idea would be that, I know Jon would be a year older, but he'd also be going higher up to heavyweight by then.
Yeah, well, I think he knows he needs the time to work on that. But the one thing that's been very clear about Adesanya, he just gets good so fast.
So, and for him to say during the press conference, which is true, like, I've done all this in less than 2 years in the UFC.
It's insane. Crazy.
I was in the room when you filmed Dissected. It's a decent show, I'm sure.
You can say nice things about it. It won't kill you.
But you were using language on that show, spoiler alert, that led me to believe that Jon's performance against Reyes makes you believe in your heart, Luke, that Stylebender has a much better chance than you would have said a week ago.
Yes, the only thing that's different is when you look at the way in which Reyes stuffed some of the takedowns, part of it is that Reyes' takedown defense has improved. We talked about it last week, bad first order but good second order defense. And that was true when he got tired in the fourth and the fifth. But in the second and the third, when he was stuffing him, his first order looked pretty good there. Part of that was he was really technical. He got the underhook right when he needed to. The other part was, dude, Dom Reyes is a physical presence. I think people fail to appreciate that a little bit. He's a strong guy. And there's moments there where you can see him and Jon in kind of these, I wouldn't call it neutral positions, but the kind of position where, like, if we're locked in it, the person who's stronger and wants it more is going to win, because we neither has a technical advantage per se. And Reyes won them early. So to me, it was like, whoa, that is interesting. Now, is that something Adesanya can do? Because I had them both at my UFC 244 SiriusXM pre-fight party. Dom Reyes had 12 Yinglings. He's like, I don't get Yinglings on the West Coast.
Yingling in the house. Shout out to Jack Crosby.
By the way,
yes,
shouts to Dom Reyes. He's a nice guy to begin with. With every beer, he becomes like, dude, but 12 beers later, he was like Winnie the Pooh nice. He
like
is
me on
the
the show
nicest
during our
drunk.
drinking episode, right?
Yeah, he was the nicest drunk I'd ever seen. Point being is this, I saw them next to each other. They're about the same height, but Dom is clearly a lot thicker, right? So there is that X factor there that makes the whole thing interesting. But on the feet, dude, who beats Adesanya on the feet? I don't think anybody does.